boy, this is gonna be good, I can tell.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Let's go! Hey! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go! Hey! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go! Hey! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go! Hey! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go!
So, let's recap.
We learned in the first video that Form W-4 in the code is to be furnished by an employee. In the regulations is to be furnished by an individual. That Form W-4 is the form prescribed by the regulations as the employee withholding certificate. That the term individual is an alien individual, according to the regulations and the code. That the terms individual and employee are used interchangeably in the code. And that the term employee in the code is an employee of the United States or of the District of Columbia. Now, I understand that to some people, all this legal talk may sound like, but I ask you to bear with me for a little bit, and I promise that I will break it down for you. So starting off with the regulations, we're going to look at the definition of employee and employer once again. In section 31.3401C1A, the term employee includes every individual performing services if the relationship between him and the person for whom he performs such services is the legal relationship of employer and employee. The term includes officers and employees, whether elected or appointed, of the United States, a state, territory, Puerto Rico, or any political subdivision thereof, or the District of Columbia, or any agency or instrumentality of any one or more of the foregoing. Now let's read the definition of employer. In section 31.3401D1A, the term employer means any person for whom an individual performs or performed any service of whatever nature as the employee of such person. And you can always pause the video and read the rest of it for yourself on your own time. Now, I went to the IRS website and did a search on the search bar. I typed in federal income tax withholding on wages. And as you can see, this is the result of the page. So I figured, let me click on the one that says federal income tax withholding on wages paid to non-resident aliens. And it brought me to this page. And you can see there in the yellow box that it reads, salaries, wages, and other pay for personal services, referred to collectively as wages, paid to non-resident alien employees that are not exempt from U.S. taxation via an income tax treaty or another applicable exemption, are subject to graduated U.S. federal income tax withholding under Internal Revenue Code section 3402. So then I noticed towards the bottom of the page where the red arrow is, the link that deals with withholding exemption and Form W-4. So I clicked on that and it brought me to this page. So I just scrolled through because I realized it has everything to do with non-resident alien employees. But I noticed towards the bottom that there is a Notice 2005-76, a PDF from the Internal Revenue Bulletin. So I clicked on that as well and it took me to this. It's a 15-page document and it deals with withholding on wages of non-resident alien employees performing services within the United States. And it reads, this notice provides new rules for determining the amount of income tax employers must withhold under section 3402 of the Internal Revenue Code from wages paid for services performed by non-resident alien employees within the United States. This notice also provides new rules for use by non-resident alien employees in completing Form W-4 Employees Withholding Allowance Certificate. Here on page 2, in the background, entitled Income Tax Withholding on Wages of Non-Resident Alien Employees, it tells you that Section 3402A1 of the Code provides that, except as otherwise provided in Section 3402, every employer making a payment of wages shall deduct and withhold from such wages a tax determined in accordance with the tables or computational procedures prescribed by the Secretary of the Treasury. And a little further down, we read Section 3401A of the Code provides that generally, the term wages includes all remuneration for services performed by an employee for his employer, which is basically the same thing that I have been providing for you from the law and the regulations. A little further down, it tells you that Section 3402F2A of the Code provides that every employee who receives wages shall provide his or her employer with a signed withholding exemption certificate. Next paragraph, Section 3402F5 of the Code provides that withholding exemption certificates shall be in such form and contain such information as the Secretary may, by regulations, prescribe. Section 31.3402F5-1A of the Employment Tax Regulations prescribes the form of the certificate as the Form W-4. This notice provided by the Secretary of the Treasury stand as a witness that the sections of the law that I have provided you were not cherry-picked. Okay, let's switch it up a little bit and let's take a look at Publication 515. It's entitled Withholding of Tax on Non-Resident Aliens and Foreign Entities. And one thing that you must understand is that publications are not law. They are simply tax guides provided by the Secretary and the IRS to the taxpayer, and that's it. On page 2 in the introduction, it reads, "This publication is for withholding agents who pay income to foreign persons, including non-resident aliens," and then it lists a few other foreign entities. Specifically, it describes the persons responsible for withholding, which are withholding agents, the types of income subject to withholding, and the information return and tax return filing obligations of withholding agents. And under forms and instructions, you see that they list Form W-2 and Form W-4. On page 34, under Form W-4, it reads, "This form is used by a person providing dependent personal services to claim withholding allowances, but not a tax treaty exemption. Non-resident alien individuals are subject to special instructions for completing the Form W-4. On page 36, under Special Instructions for Form W-4, it reads, "A non-resident alien subject to wage withholding must give the employer a completed Form W-4 to enable the employer to figure out how much income tax to withhold." And they are cautioned. It reads, "A non-resident alien cannot claim exemption from withholding on Form W-4. Use Form 8233 to claim a tax treaty exemption from withholding." Page 37, under graduated rates, it reads, "Ordinarily, you must withhold on pay, which is wages, for dependent personal services using graduated rates. The non-resident alien must complete Form W-4, and you must report wages and income tax withheld on Form W-2. Now let's look at Notice 1392, entitled Supplemental Form W-4 Instructions for Non-Resident Aliens. And it reads, "Non-resident aliens must follow special instructions when completing Form W-4 Employees Withholding Certificate for compensation paid to such individuals as employees performing dependent personal services in the United States. Compensation for dependent personal services includes amounts paid as wages, salaries, fees, bonus, commission, compensatory scholarships, fellowship income, and similar designations for amounts paid to an employee." Under what compensation is subject to withholding and requires a Form W-4, it will tell you one more time. And you can stop the video and take your time reading it. Now, if you're an American and you're sitting there thinking to yourself,
What the fuck that got to do with me?
then you are starting to think correctly. Because at this point, it's becoming more and more obvious that the individual who is supposed to furnish a Form W-4 is a foreign person. In other words, an alien individual, not an American citizen. I'm going to stop the video at this point so that I don't bore you out, in the hope that I can keep you looking forward to my next videos as I wrap up the applicability of Form W-4 as is implemented in the regulations and in the code, and the dual purpose of Form W-4.
The suspense is terrible.
So with that in mind, I hope you subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share it with everybody that you know. And I will see you on my next video.